In this video, I'm going to talk about the best tourist visas available in Asia. So what we're talking about here is either a formal tourist visa that you have to apply for, where you send your passport away to the embassy, or a visa waiver, visa exemption, where you can just rock up at the airport, not do anything, show your passport and enter the country. My name's Aaron, I'm from offshore in Asia. If you're interested in moving to, doing business or investing out in Asia, head over to offshoreinAsia.com, have a look around there. We might have a few things there to help you get on your way. Now, the first country I'll mention here that has one of the best visa on arrivals is Malaysia. For Malaysia, you can arrive at the airport. You do have to fill in a digital arrival card, which was a new process that was added to the immigration policy not that long ago. But apart from that, you can arrive at the airport, show your passport, and get 90 days on arrival, no tourist visa required. This makes Malaysia one of the most tourist-friendly countries in Southeast Asia. Being able to get 90 days without having to apply for a visa is a massive bonus. It's a really nice place where they've got good infrastructure, it's not too expensive. You can sort of hang out there for a while, set up a bit of a home base while you work out where you're going to go to next. It is recommended that you have proof of onward travel, so that you have maybe a flight out to Thailand or back to your home country, or even a bus ticket up to Thailand or a train ticket up to Thailand, or maybe a ticket to Singapore. Some proof that you are going to leave the country, but in reality, it's often not required. Last time I was there, I didn't have to show any proof of onward travel. I just had a bit of a chat to the person in the immigration booth about what my plans were. It's pretty common for people to sort of enter from one end and sort of travel up the country and then sort of keep going up to Thailand, that sort of thing, or down south into Singapore. So they're used to people doing that. Even though the official policy is that technically you are supposed to have proof of onward travel, it often isn't really required, but that is a chance that you'll have to take. And if you want to just make double sure that you don't have any issues, get an onward ticket. There are services available to provide a reservation for an onward ticket. We've got a link in the description to a service that we use occasionally that will allow us to provide proof of onward travel at a low cost of not having to buy an actual full price ticket. The next country that has a pretty good tourist visa is Thailand. And I probably would not have mentioned this before. Before, you used to, under the old system, you used to get 30 days on arrival, no visa required, or you could send away your passport or visit an embassy outside the country to apply for a 60-day tourist visa in your passport. Then you could go into the country and extend for another 30 days. But now recently they've announced they've extended, or they're upping the days on the visa waiver, so that before, when you used to get 30 days on arrival, no visa, that's going to be 60 days on arrival, no visa required. Again, Thailand, you are supposed to have proof of onward travel. It just depends on who you get at the immigration booth. It also depends on your travel history, whether you will be asked to show that or not. So just to make sure that you don't run into trouble, it is probably a good idea to get your proof of onward travel, but whether you have to show it or not is another thing. Now, probably the most forgiving tourist visa in Asia would have to be the Philippines. With the Philippines, you have to register what they call an e-travel, which is similar to Malaysia. Singapore does this as well, where it's just a digital form, an online form where you fill out your details and then you take that with you to immigration, and it pretty much speeds up the immigration process. It saves them having to ask you a lot of questions about where you're staying, where you've come from, where you're going to. All of that will be in your digital registration. It's not a visa, it's just an online form that you have to do, that you have to complete before you go to immigration. Apart from that, you get 30 days on arrival, no visa required. And then when you're in the country, you can extend this up to 3 years. You can't do that anywhere else in Asia. So 3 years on a tourist visa, and then you can leave the country, come back into the country and start again from day one. This is one of the reasons why the Philippines is very popular with expats. They just make it easy there. It's easy to stay there, easy to extend. They don't hassle you too much. Now, one thing with the Philippines is you do have to have proof of onward travel, and this took me a little bit by surprise when I recently came to the Philippines, that I actually had to show proof of onward travel when I was checking in at my origin. So I was flying out of Hong Kong into the Philippines, and when I was checking in at the counter for the airline at the Hong Kong airport, they wanted to show my proof of onward travel out of the Philippines. Otherwise, they weren't going to let me onto the flight. So that is something that is a little bit unusual. Normally, when you have to show proof of onward travel with most countries, they will want to see it at immigration, not necessarily at the boarding gate of the country of origin before you fly into that country. So make sure you're prepared for that. Then once you're in the country, you can just keep extending. Stay there for up to 3 years if you like. Next country I'll mention that has a pretty good tourist visa, but it's not a visa or a visa waiver on arrival. You do have to apply for it beforehand with an e-visa. This is Vietnam. They give you 90 days. So this is pretty good to get 90 days up front. It is a little bit more hassle with having to apply for the visa beforehand, but once you go through that process, you're all set after that. You do have to be very careful when you're applying for the visa that all your information is correct as per your passport, that has your middle name, etc., or all of your names, not just your first and your last name. Otherwise, you can have issues trying to board the flight. But once you've done that once, it's easy, you know what to do, and then you've got 90 days in the country. So that's a pretty good one as well. The last country I'll mention here, which has a pretty good visa system, is Singapore. And Singapore is quite similar to Malaysia in that it gives you 90 days on arrival, no visa required. All you have to do is fill out your online registration form, like a digital arrival card. You can do this at the airport when you get there. It's pretty easy. It doesn't take too long, just takes a couple of minutes. And then you've got 90 days. So this is a really good way to get into the country, no hassles. The only thing with this is Singapore's quite an expensive country. Most people won't be able to afford to live there for 90 days unless you have a high income. So if you're like me, when I'm going to Singapore to do business or whatever it is, I'll just pop in for a few days, for a week, and then I'll pop back out again. Just because it's quite expensive to live there. But if you have money or if you have a need to stay in the country for a longer period of time, then 90 days on arrival, no visa, is a pretty good option. So that's it for the video. There's the main ones I wanted to mention. Cambodia has a pretty good system as well. Of course, you can get tourist visas to most countries. Some of them you have to organize beforehand. Some of them you can get at immigration when you arrive. You just pay your money at the airport, like in Laos, for example. You can go there and get 30 days quite easily. But for people who are looking for easier access or for longer stays, such as 60, 90 days, or even 3 years in the case of the Philippines, these are the main options you may want to look at. And the beauty is a lot of these countries are really close, so you can go do your 60, 90 days in Thailand once you get your extension. Then you could pop over to Malaysia for 90 days. Then you could go to Vietnam for 90 days, or you could go up to the Philippines for up to 3 years if you wanted to. There are a lot of options here to sort of stitch all these little tourist visas together to pretty much live out in Asia full time. And because you wouldn't be staying in any one country longer for 90 days probably, unless it's the Philippines, then you're not going to be triggering tax residency as well. So that makes it nice as well. If you do have an established tax residency in another country and you want to keep that there and not have any tax liabilities or complications in these other countries that you're spending time in. Now, if you are interested in learning more about living in Asia, head over to offshoreinasia.com. You can send us an email there. You can book a call if you want to do a one-on-one consult. We can help you to work through whatever your issues are, be it around visas, taxation, setting up business entities, what's the most efficient way of operating out here. We can help you with all those things. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and we'll see you later.